It's funny how death has a smell. Even funnier when it smells like the person you can't stop loving. The night Sam broke into my life for the second time, I was standing in front of a convenience store on a deserted road in Virginia, half drunk and wholly determined to forget him. The wind was cold enough to bite through my jacket, the kind of cold that settled in your bones, but nothing chilled me more than the sound of his voice behind me. "You still drink that cheap crap, Omega?" My body betrayed me instantly. The shiver that ran down my spine had nothing to do with the weather and everything to do with the alpha who sent hit me a second later: wild pine, warm musk, and something dangerous I could never name. I turned slowly. Sam was exactly as I remembered, only worse. Taller, stronger, a little more broken in the edges of his golden eyes. His black hoodie couldn't hide the fact that he moved like the predator. He was an alpha werewolf, built to hunt, built to claim. "Don't," I said, my voice already cracking. "Don't you dare." But he stepped closer anyway, closing the space between us until I could feel the heat of him, smell the pull of his dominance in the air. I hated him for it. I hated myself more for wanting it. It had been 3 years since I'd run from him, from the pack politics, the blood debts, and most of all, from the bond that had started to thread itself between us. But bonds don't break just because you cross a few state lines. Not when you're an Omega. Not when your body remembers every touch, every kiss, every bite. "I came back for you," Sam said simply, as if that explained the wreckage he'd left in his wake. I laughed, bitter. "You came back because you need me, not because you want me." His jaw tightened. "It's both." I wanted to walk away. I should have walked away. But that was the problem with alphas. They didn't just get into your heart. They rewrote your instincts until every cell in your body was tuned to their voice, their scent, their presence. And when the heat came, because it always came, you either fought it until it tore you apart or you gave in. Before I could say anything else, I felt it. A shift in the air. Not the natural pull between us, but something darker, heavier, like smoke seeping into my lungs. Sam's nostrils flared, his body going rigid. "They're here," he muttered. I didn't need to ask who. I'd been hearing whispers for weeks about a demon moving through the southern states, marking Omegas for something worse than death. Most people thought it was a myth. Most people didn't know that myths had teeth. Sam grabbed my wrist. "We need to move." I pulled back out of reflex, but he didn't let go. His grip was warm, grounding, and infuriatingly familiar. "You think I'm just going to run off with you after I let you think I didn't love you?" He cut in. His voice was low, but the rawness in it stopped me cold. "Yeah, I screwed up. I thought letting you go would keep you safe. Turns out I was wrong, and now you're on their list. So if you're done hating me for 5 minutes, we need to move before." The streetlight above us flickered and went out. Something stepped out of the shadows at the far end of the street. Tall, wrong-shaped, with horns that caught the moonlight and eyes like molten glass. The demon didn't smile, it didn't need to. I could feel its hunger in the air, pressing down on me, making my knees weaken. Sam stepped in front of me, his body shielding mine, his growl low and steady. "Stay behind me. I can fight," I whispered. "I know you can," he said without looking back. "But you're mine to protect." It shouldn't have meant anything. It shouldn't have made my chest ache the way it did. But in that moment, hearing him claim me even in the middle of hell felt like breathing after drowning. The demon moved fast, a blur of shadow and heat, but Sam was faster. He lunged, shifting mid-motion, his bones snapping and reforming in a way that would have made a human sick. The wolf that landed between me and the demon was massive, for dark as midnight, eyes blazing gold. I had seen him fight before. I had even fought beside him. But something was different now. He wasn't just fighting to win. He was fighting like I was the last thing worth saving in the world. The clash was brutal, claws against something that shouldn't even bleed, teeth snapping inches from a throat that didn't exist in any anatomy book. I should have run. Every instinct screamed at me to get as far from the fight as possible. But my feet stayed planted, my hands clenched at my sides, my heart pounding in a rhythm that matched his. When the demon finally pulled back, hissing, its gaze locked on me. You can't keep him forever, Wolf, it said in a voice like cracked stone. Omegas come to me eventually. Sam shifted back, still standing between us. Not this one. The demon's smile was all teeth. We'll see. Then it melted back into the shadows, gone as suddenly as it had appeared. For a moment, the only sound was my own breathing. Then Sam turned, his chest rising and falling hard, his hair damp with sweat. You okay? He asked. No, I said honestly. And you? His lips curved in the smallest smile. Better now that you're still breathing. I should have been furious. I should have demanded answers, explanations, anything but this strange calm that settled over me. Instead, I just stood there, looking at him, realizing that no matter how much I hated him for leaving, part of me had been waiting for him to come back. And maybe, just maybe, the part of me that was still alive owed that to him. Sam didn't take me to some safe house or packed territory. Instead, he drove us into the mountains, winding roads curling into darkness. The cab of his truck smelled like him, wild, warm, maddening, and every time I shifted in my seat, the bond hummed between us like a live wire. You're in heat, he said quietly, not looking at me. I froze. I'm not. You are. He cut in, his voice lower now, threaded with that alpha timbre that made my skin heat. Your sense changed. You've been trying to hide it. I hated that he could read me so easily. It's not your problem. His hands tightened on the wheel. It is if the demon can track you through it. We didn't talk after that. Not until the truck rumbled to a stop outside a rundown cabin half buried in snow. He got out, came around to my side, and opened the door without asking. Inside, the cabin smelled of cedar and ash, the fire he built snapping to life in seconds. The heat was immediate, wrapping around me in a way that made my head spin. My heartbeat picked up. The pull of him was stronger here, away from the noise of the world. Sam. He looked at me from across the firelight. I'm not going to touch you unless you want me to. The problem was I did want him to, so much it hurt. But wanting him wasn't the same as forgiving him. You left me, I said. I thought I was protecting you. His voice was rough like gravel. My pack was being hunted. The demon wanted leverage, and you were everything he could use against me. I figured if you hated me, you'd be safe. And that worked out great, I said bitterly. He flinched but didn't look away. I was wrong, and I'm not leaving again. Before I could answer, the air shifted colder, sharper. A low hum vibrated in my chest, like my bones knew before my brain did. The demon was here. The shadows at the edge of the cabin stretched, twisting into that tall, horned shape. Alpha, it said in a voice like fire cracking ice. You keep what's mine. I'm not yours, I snarled before I could stop myself. The demon's gaze slid over me like oil. You will be. Sam moved between us in a blur, the growl ripping from his chest loud enough to shake the windows. But the demon didn't lunge this time. It only smiled. I don't have to take him by force. The bond will break him on its own. And when it does, he'll beg me for the release you can't give. I didn't understand, not until the heat hit me full force. My knees buckled, my breath caught, and I was on the floor before I realized I'd fallen. The demon's laughter followed me into the haze. Sam was there instantly, catching me, his arms strong and grounding. Don't listen to him. Stay with me. The world blurred in heat and sent his scent until I was dizzy with it. Every Omega instinct screamed to submit, to let my alpha take control, to let the bond complete. Let me help you, Sam whispered against my ear, his breath hot. Let me anchor you. I should have said no. I should have fought it. But then his forehead was against mine, his hands gentle on my face, and the world narrowed down to gold eyes and the steady rhythm of his breathing. The bond snapped tight between us, a rush of heat and light flooding every nerve. My body melted into his, the chaos in my head quieting for the first time in years. I didn't know if it was love or instinct or both, but it felt like home. When the haze cleared, the demon was gone. I didn't need to ask why. A fully claimed Omega wasn't his to touch. I pulled back just enough to look at Sam. So that's it? We just bond and he leaves us alone. His thumb brushed my cheek. Not exactly, but it makes you harder to take. And if he tries again, he'll have to go through me. Something in his voice told me he meant it. We didn't sleep much that night. The bond made everything sharper, his warmth beside me. The steady thump of his heart. The way his presence wrapped around me like armor. But the morning brought reality. The demon wasn't done. We found his mark burned into the snow outside the cabin, a crude circle with 3 slashes through it. Sam studied it, his jaw tight. He's calling me out. So what, we fight? He looked at me, a flicker of something dangerous in his eyes. We finish it. The fight didn't happen in some grand arena. It happened in an abandoned rail yard outside Richmond, the air thick with rust and frost. The demon was waiting, his form larger now, fed by whatever dark magic he'd been gathering. Sam shifted before the first blow, his wolf massive and furious. I stayed close, my own vampire speed turning me into a blur around the edges of the fight. Every time the demon lunged, I was there to distract, to pull him off balance, giving Sam the opening to tear into him. It was brutal, messy, nothing like the clean kills in storybooks. But when the final blow landed, Sam's jaws locking on the demon's throat, the shadow body unraveling into smoke, the silence afterward was the loudest thing I'd ever heard. Sam shifted back slowly, his chest heaving, blood and ash smeared across his skin. I went to him without thinking, my hands framing his face. It's over, I said, his arms wrapped around me, pulling me in. It's never over, but it's safe. For now. We stood there for a long time, the winter air biting at our skin, the first light of dawn breaking over the rail yard. And for the first time in years, I let myself believe him. Weeks later, we were still in the mountains. The cabin had become ours, creaky floors, stubborn fireplace, and all. Some nights we talked until sunrise. Some nights we didn't talk at all. And every night I went to sleep with the same thought. He came back for me. And this time he wasn't leaving. Because in the end, that's the thing about alphas and omegas: you can run, you can fight, you can break 1,000 times. But when the right one finds you, the bond doesn't just hold. It heals. Thank you for listening. If you find it interesting, please like and subscribe to follow the next stories.